Welcome to Staff Loungin, the podcast where teachers sit around, talk about teaching, and eat their lunches while they do it. And my name's Dave Plaskauskas. I'm a teacher from Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. I am joined today in the lounge by...
Lisa Raposo, teacher, Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. I don't know why I hesitated on
because
every
I had a
thing
problem
I
with
said.
the idiom, though. I'm joined by. Which is more appropriate?
So you threw it off.
I totally threw you off.
Joined by.
I would say joined by is better.
By.
Yeah, joined
I'm
by.
joined with.
I'm here with.
I'm
joined by.
I'm joined by. And I
we
am
go.
here with Derrick. Who am I here with? Who's the other guy?
You stole my thunder.
Spoiler alert.
It's over. I'm leaving.
Could be Derrick Rose. He's got free time.
No,
we know that. He's got a lot of time.
Yeah. No, Derrick Wong, teacher, Scarborough, Ontario, Canada.
Hey, and it's been another week in the world. How's your week?
The world
been?
that is teaching.
Yeah, the world that is teaching.
I've had a good week.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I said who I was.
Because you usually were like, and my classes were so bad.
I know. I actually.
I shouldn't say that. You are genuinely positive about teaching. You enjoy what you do. 90% of the time.
I've been thinking that I've been sounding fairly negative lately. Actually, I'm making a concerted effort to be more positive.
Mm-hmm. I even noticed you wrote notes, and you're like, weak. Good! Exclamation mark.
It's been a good week. My kids are almost all in rehearsal in all of the classes, and after school and before school rehearsals as well for little short plays that are going to be going up next week.
One of which I will be starring in.
It's true. Although I'll be starring as Mr. Plus as his character in the dress rehearsal.
That's right.
So that the other performer gets a chance to do the dress rehearsal. So my kids have all been really busy. It's nice to watch, and I'm trying to focus on the positive. It's nice to watch the kids who are using the rehearsal time to rehearse.
Yes.
And I'm trying to focus on that element of it that, oh my God, these kids get it. They understand what rehearsal is, and they're looking, and they're trying to figure out the best way to say the line, and oh my God, this is awesome, rather than focusing on the kids who are like punching each other during the rehearsal time. So I'm focusing on the good stuff because there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And I had the dream. I had an moment in Writer's Craft yesterday explaining iambic pentameter. And
was it an I moment for you? Because I don't get iambic pentameter yet myself.
Oh, I totally get it. I can totally explain it to you
Did you
later.
explain it in iambic pentameter?
I just make it iambic pentameter. I'm just like, the thing that does the thing that does the thing. It is, but what I do is I make up the accent. No matter what the word is, I will make it so that I can turn anything.
apple.
A pole is up, but exactly. I turn everything into iambic pentameter, whether it is or it isn't.
So I was explaining because we just started in on poetry, so I was talking about rhythm, and I was like, I'm going to explain something that's going to make Shakespeare easier, or make more sense, and it was iambic pentameter, and they're in grade 12, so they've been doing Shakespeare for years now, but I guess nobody's sort of taken the time to explain what they mean when they say iambic pentameter, and there were genuine moments of, where light bulbs turned on, and I was just like, this is awesome.
I will say that tiny times where I am successful as a teacher, one of my tiny little victories with Shakespeare was having an moment where I said to a kid, Shakespeare wrote in images that explained his ideas. So you have to picture what he's saying, and if you can't, then you're going to have a lot of trouble understanding. And the kid's like,
for sure. It's a play. It's ultimately, it's meant to be seen.
And,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And heard.
But even beyond that, unlike a lot of plays where the action, where it's meant to be seen in order for you to physically understand, even if you're watching the play, you still have to get the images, understand, now I am a bird flying, that's, and that's how he explains.
And I think for my kids who express a kind of fear about studying Shakespeare, they always say, "Oh, it's an Old English, sir. It's an Old English." And then I go through the Beowulf, which is complete gibberish.
That's Old English.
That's Old English. And then you've got the Middle English, and then you've got modern. And Middle English is Canterbury Tales,
which is also pretty much incomprehensible.
One that aptly vis the shorter sorta.
Ooh, well done, sir.
That's all I know.
Well done, sir. But you know what? It's enough to baffle and impress. That's how that's all you have to have. It's just enough to baffle someone.
It's true. So yes, nutshell. Good week. Derrick,
excellent.
How's your week?
Good. Busy, hectic, and lab time. I've been having this is the dream is to have access to a lab.
A computer lab
at any given moment, so that students can use the computers and the internet to research, to do work, and especially for kids with IEPs who perhaps need the accommodation even.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so hard sometimes to get them in. So I've been having a little bit of little panic attacks, kind of here and there, wanting them to get some work done. But again, the work period thing.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the show.
It's something for our today's topic, which
which will totally.
Well, certainly. I don't even want to tell you guys. You're going to have to listen on to find out what today's topic is going to be.
Dave,
my week's been pretty cray. First of all, I want to shout out to a few people who have mentioned or talked about the show on Reddit. So shout out to a couple of Redditors.
That's big.
Yes, Black Yogurt enjoys this show.
Hey, Black Yogurt.
And I enjoy Black Yogurt.
And I have to admit, I'm super curious as to what, really, Black Yogurt probably should be thrown out. How long has it been in the fridge? Is it fuzzy? I mean, when you're picturing, nothing good.
No.
I don't picture anything good when I think of Black Yogurt.
No. Sorry, Black Yogurt.
Sorry, Black Yogurt. On the other hand, Julie Bell, thought our show was both fun and thoughtful. And I'm actually potentially going to apologize, Julie Bell, because afterwards I said, hey, that's great. Where are you from? And can I mention that you liked the show on the podcast? And she didn't get back to me about that. So either she thought maybe I was hitting on her. Potentially I wasn't. No,
I feel like you talk about your wife every episode. Though,
yeah, I know, but
people know.
You know what though? A lot of guys they'll talk about their wife and then they'll still hit on other people anyway. Like
gross.
I've seen that. Oh yeah.
Is the tone of your text, of your typed out text.
Well,
hey,
babe. I begin everything that way. That's just how I begin.
He says to me every time I see him.
Anyway, bottom line, and then this was actually a really wicked, really fun thing. Was Artie Van basically mentioned that he enjoyed the podcast and said he's teaching ESL in Korea.
Cool.
And none of his coworkers, he's surrounded by nobody speaks English, so this is really nice to listen to somebody talking English about teaching. And he just moved to Korea 3 years ago from Scarborough, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, wow.
So
shout out.
What kind of a small cyber world do we live in?
Represent.
And he went to UT Scarborough, University of Toronto Scarborough campus. And Artie Van, you the man. And so anyway, I want to shout out to the Reddit people and also say that my basketball season has started up. And we are in tough. We're in a tough league and against a lot of good teams. That's just a very elliptical way of saying we haven't won yet. But I do add the yet. Yeah. And I was very excited in our last game when we went down 20-4. I wasn't excited by that part. But we actually came back and took the lead later in the game and lost on a couple of buzzer beater shots. And I asked the assistant coach to take a picture of the scoreboard when we were up. I was like, this is the first time we've had a lead. And then you showed that picture out of context everywhere you went. And so I've actually got proof of that in case it never happens again. So
amazing.
But they're a great group, and I'm actually really enjoying coaching them. I'm really enjoying it. And I said in practice the other day, I said, guys, I really don't believe anyone works as hard as us. I don't believe anyone practices as hard as us, and we're going to get better. And that's our metric. Our metric is not wins and losses. It's we're going to get better. And by the end of the season, each and every one of you is going to be better, and we're going to be better as a team.
Yeah.
And if that converts into wins, that's fine, but that's not the goal. The goal is to work hard and get better every day.
Absolutely.
So that's a good thing. On the other hand, I'm dealing with the Byzantine world of transfers and everything else like that in our school board. Yeah. And I'm forms. And I am prone, I believe the word is, I'm phlegmatic, which is the one where you fly off the handle periodically of the humors. Is
that what it is?
Oh, no. I'm choleric. I'm choleric.
Yeah, because phlegmatic
is like I'm lazy. Yeah. I'm choleric, and I've been showing my choleric side from time to time where I'll just basically declare, I'm quitting coaching.
I'm never doing this
And literally all it is like, they'll be like, they'll be, and it's unreasonable and unfair. It's like I've chosen to behave this way. You know, I've chosen to sort of avoid this work, you know. Because people used to be like, oh, Dave, yeah, this form's great, except, well, you just need to sign your name down there. Now, that signing of my name will take about 3 seconds, but I'll just be like, no, it's so much. I'm quitting coaching. That's it. Here, take my keys. That's it. I'm never going to use them again. You're going to have to get someone to replace me. That'll show you. And I do a lot of the sort of childhood equivalent of, you'll miss me when I'm dead. That kind of thing.
I'm going to run away and that'll learn you.
I'm holding my breath until all this stuff goes away. But all of that being said, dear people at the school board at which I work who run the athletics stuff, you're killing us coaches. You are destroying us with paperwork, and you are making it really hard to coach. And I understand it's so that I can't have a bunch of kids transfer into this school and put together an all-star super team, and so we have to watch who comes here and whether they're eligible to play. But, I think my 20 years of losing records speaks for themselves. And that's not what I'm doing. It's really not what I'm doing. So when some kid moves here from Greece and loves basketball, and that's the one thing that's going to help him to adjust to life here, and I get the impression that maybe he won't be able to play because of some bizarre rule, because of his particular circumstance, and he can't come up with one particular document to prove he lives here, although he can come up with 10 other ones. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't get to play, we're basically saying, hey, let's make your adjustment to life in Canada extra hard, because Dave's trying to build a championship team, and you're only here to play basketball.
He clearly scouted you.
I did not go to Greece. I wasn't there this summer. So what do we got here? Oh, hey, kid, chomping on a cigar. Come on.
I'll take you, see?
Anyway, see?
You come here, see?
Come here, see? What are you guys good at? Brought to you by the good folks at goodatstudios.us. Goodatstudios.us. Good at studios. Boo, boo, boo. Booby, dooby, doo. Scene. And I just have to every once in a while add that proviso. It's not really brought to you by them. It's brought to you by us. Because we're going to bring it. Do you have anything you're good at, Lee,
I am.
Sir?
I do.
You took notes.
I took notes.
Good. I see good.
That was for the week. I'm good at decorating for Christmas.
Oh.
You are.
I'm good at decorating for Christmas.
I haven't seen evidence of this yet.
I don't have my phone on me.
You should be decorated. Maybe.
No, I don't decorate myself.
Yeah, just walk around like a
Christmas tree.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So this conversation's over.
Bring joy to us.
No, but I'm good at decorating.
I'm good at decorating.
I'm good at decorating.
I'm a decorator.
No, I like it. I enjoy it.
There
my
you
tree
go.
is up. My house is decorated. There
You
are
already got
lights
your
out.
real
Yeah.
tree?
No, I do a fake tree because I can't keep things alive. And I know that they're dead, but I literally
You could do worse.
I know, but it would shrivel up.
It'll go Charlie Brown Christmas tree on you overnight. Right?
would.
It'll literally just.
My
I think I was doing a combination of Charlie Brown Christmas and the Bob and Doug McKenzie song.
I think what you wanted was doo doo doo.
Yeah, thank you.
So on the radio, the Bob and Doug McKenzie Christmas 12 Days of Christmas has been on the radio a lot. I cannot hear it without thinking of Kevin Smith now in his letter to his friend when he was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And he's trying to do the Bob and Doug McKenzie. Oh, my God, it's all I can think of.
It's from his podcast, and he actually has...
recordings of himself as like a 12-year-old.
I'm going to say this over and over again.
15-year-old,
I am constantly shouting out to Kev, we love you, man. You should mention us on your podcast. Like we mention you on ours. Come on, buddy.
But it's he has these recordings from when he was
for children.
A kid.
Not always appropriate even for adults.
It's never appropriate. I am not his target audience.
No,
but whatever. I think
makes
it's
me
really
laugh
funny.
Through the
but he has these recordings from when he was little, and it's like this.
Them.
It's this like letter, this recorded letter to a friend of his from drama camp or something.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was 14.
Yeah, and it was when Bob and Doug McKenzie, the characters were really.
Well, they had their comedy album.
was out.
Yeah.
And so it's just him trying to talk like Bob and Doug McKenzie through the whole
just by himself.
And the thing, and it's awesome. I understand how the rest of the world feels when I do my accents, when I hear him doing the Canadian accent, because it's really bad. Yeah. It's like, hey, how's it going, eh? Whoa.
I'm wearing a toque,
eh? Bob and Doug McKenzie sound like.
That's true.
He's doing a really good Bob and Doug McKenzie, who are just not doing good Canadian accents.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't. I hear that song and I'm like, Kev Smith.
Kev Smith.
Kev Smith.
That's Kev Smith.
Fat Kev Smith. Anyway, I'm good at decorating for Christmas.
What are you good at? Is there anything you think, or would like to get good at?
I'd like to get better at playing guitar. That's something. So today at our school, we're doing the vow of silence. A lot of the students are doing that and hoping to raise awareness and also get some volunteer hours at the same time. So
and funds too.
Yeah, that's right. So I will be joining them in doing this, and I brought my guitar along just because it's 10 hours, or I guess from 3 to 10 it'd be 7. I have marking to do, of course, but as we know, sometimes it gets hard to
get through. Focus.
Yeah, it's hard to focus sometimes,
for the whole time,
especially with so many things going on. And although it will be silent, but lots of things going on anyhow. That I brought my guitar, and I'd like to get better at playing the guitar.
There is a program that I saw that's being sort of touted by the guitarist for Simple Plan. And I don't, I know, I'm not saying, I mean, it is what it is. No. Yay!
One syllable worth 1,000 words.
But anyway, I just saw it on the news. It was really interesting, and he sort of claims that they've hit upon a revolutionary way to teach people to play guitar, and that if you follow the program, that you'll learn to play in 30 days. So it's just something, and I think that's sort of how they tout the program. So maybe if you Google those keywords, I'll try and put it in the show notes, if I remember.
I hope you do.
Which I might. Well, usually I listen, and I put, whenever I say I'm going to put it in the show notes, I usually do, because I hate it when people say two things. Two things I hate in podcasts. One is like, oh, we're going to edit that out later, and you just heard the whole thing that they were going to edit out later. It's like, what the hell, man? And I'm going to put that in the show notes, and you don't. Right. So two things that I try and do as much as possible. What am I good at? Good question. I will tell you what I'm good at. And asking myself questions.
We didn't ask. We did not ask.
Is this
I am good at listening. Yes, it is. Well, no, it's actually funny. You should say that.
Good at putting words in other people's mouths.
I'm very good at self-talk. And allow me to give you an example of some of my self-talk. So
you are.
I work out with my basketball team. So she likes this story, and she's going to start laughing. Anyway. I've already told her this, and she was like, save it for the podcast. And she was like, I'm going to laugh until the podcast because it's so funny. I shouldn't build that up. I'll edit it out later. No, I won't. I'm not going to edit that out. That's a call.
You'll hear all of it.
Anyway, with my basketball team, I'm always trying to be innovative. I'm always trying to come up with new ways of things. And I really want to push them physically, but I've also learned, or I feel like you don't learn best when you're just dying. So, I used to be like, I'm going to kill him, run hard, and then we'll learn plays. So now I've tried to break it up a little bit. We have a very active coaching practice, and then we have what I call a training practice. And the training practice is just an effing hard workout that we go through. And I do it with the kids. And here's where the self-talk comes in. Well, but what I do is I'll be working out with the kids, and I'll be like, kids, can you believe a 45-year-old man is keeping up with a bunch of teenagers? I'm an inspiration to you. That's what I tell them. I tell them I'm an inspiration to them. And they're looking at me like blankly. Yeah. Because I'm really
You've
not.
stopped them in their tracks. You stopped them in their tracks.
No, because I've literally postulated something that's never even crossed their mind in any way, shape, or form. They're like, no, you're not.
We never thought that.
I'm like, you must be amazed. Check this out. Look how hard I'm going. I'm finishing last, but I'm finishing. I'm an inspiration to you guys. And I do actually. I clap myself off then, and then I clap myself off. Clap me off. Clap me off. All right, that's good. I'll do it first.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Solo clap's good too. I get it. You guys are a little nervous clapping while I clap because I'm such an inspiration to you. So, what am I good at? Inspiring the youth. Inspiring the youth of today is what I'm good at.
Oh boy.
Now I'm gonna add.
How do we follow?
I don't know. Well, we're going to follow with a new segment.
We're going to just change topic entirely.
We're going to follow with a new segment because I've always been a bit of a Redditor. Actually, I haven't, and I've always been bothered by the term Redditor because what the hell does that? You've heard the word Redditor?
Yeah,
a user of Reddit. It implies that you've done something. I don't know. I mean, look, a Redditor is a guy who posts on a message board that happens to be Reddit. Yeah. Is there anything beyond that? Like you post a few times.
Do you edit as you're an editor? at the same time?
Do I moderate? Like I actually no, I did mod a sort of Reddit, an r/ something, but that got that never really took off. But anyway, I'm a Redditor. Bottom line is I do like Reddit because I actually find it's a very active and engaging community. It's a tough group. I will say that. Reddit, the internet is a mean place. The internet in the world is a mean place, all right? And a lot of the meanest people, a lot of them, they sort of migrate to Reddit. So I feel like I could post just, here is a picture of, a beautiful puppy. Yeah. And a good number of people are going to come down and downvote it because, I don't know, it was so cheap and obvious for me to post a puppy picture. Or, I've seen that puppy before. Well, everyone knows that's last year's breed. Or, you basically learn how lame you are on Reddit. But that being said, you also get a ton of really thoughtful and excellent criticism. So I've taken to posting stuff on the r/teaching on Reddit. So there's a Reddit sort of area message board about teaching. I very, very spammily posted a thing about our podcast, and I had a few people point out to me through PMs that I was a spammer or an effing spammer. To which I responded, well, if by spamming you mean on a thing about teaching where they say, please talk about this thing that's teaching, and we have a podcast where we discuss teaching, and I mentioned that I do a podcast if that's spamming, I'm a spammer. And 100%, what do I want? I want a larger audience. Sorry, world. I'd love it if everyone listened to me. Yes, I'm a spammer. Anyway.
Shame.
But what I'm going to try and do is sort of post what we talk about and see what people have to think about it.
Yeah,
so last week we talked about kinesthetic learners. And I basically asked the question, do you think kinesthetic learners are the most underserved in education? And that was certainly my thesis and a thought that I had, and we talked about it. And it was interesting because we came up with two differing sort of sets of opinions. Sairga, nobody has a normal name on Reddit either. Nobody's name is just like Bill or John. Mine is D+C, which is actually my name, David Plaskowskis, D. Plaskowskis. But I wanted to be D+, but somebody took that, and then D+C. So Sairga is he's pro kinesthetic, like the concept of kinesthetic learners and pro learning styles. And he, like me, I think connected to it because he was a very fidgety learner. And I wonder if people don't connect, like just don't sort of glom on to the whole kinesthetic learning thing because they're like, oh God, that's what's wrong with me. Whether it's true or not, whether this is a real thing or not, so that's what's, and I feel like the kinesthetic, because you don't really hear as many people saying like, I'm a verbal visual one, but people who are kinesthetic, they tend to really sell. Is that something you've ever observed? Or is that a crazy, it's okay to say no.
I've not observed it in that sense at all. I definitely that idea that people are looking for explanations about why they are the way they are, and if they find an explanation, they grab on to it.
Whether it's true or not.
I get that, but I've not especially
kinesthetic. I would say another thing that's a part of human nature is thinking that the thing that happens to you is special and unique, and or universal, or you know what I mean,
No, I don't. Not from the students anyway. Not so much. I mean, hard to advocate for yourself sometimes too, and be that self-aware.
Now, here's a thing that Sairga did that I don't know how well it would work in a high school thing. There's two things he said. One is that he did a lot of station work in his class, so he got people up and moving around. And he personally felt that people were more engaged. I mean, yes, this is anecdotal. Another thing he did, which I could totally see doing, but I could totally see backfiring, is he put a lot of toys and gadgets on his desk for people to sort of fiddle with.
Okay.
And he had things like cat's cradles and different things that you could be doing with your hands and things like that. Any critiques of any danger with respect to that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some kids would have a field day with that, and
there'd be a lot of things flying around.
That's my fear. Thank you. Yeah, that's all. I just wanted you to say what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, there'll be
people whipping stuff at people.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I just feel like you can't ever give a student a projectile.
No. Even when you like, okay, guys, you're going to need a pencil. Pencils start flying across. Somebody is going to lose an eye in my room one day.
Exactly.
And it's not because I'm not vigilant. It's not like I'm not. Guys, don't do that.
Can I tell you a funny? Sorry, you go and then I'll tell you a funny lose your eye story. When I was a kid, supply teachers would in grade school. Supply teachers would always come in, and I don't know why, but that was your license to make paper airplanes. I mean, I grew up, this was the 70s, early 80s, and paper airplanes were very popular back then.
They're very popular.
They're very popular.
Yep, popular
today.
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it was like, that's what you did and it was your opportunity to throw paper airplanes. And the teacher would get quite exorcised. Is that
Yes.
is that the right
Yes.
approach? Yeah. And with an O, I believe.
Yes.
And rawr, rawr, rawr. That's my exorcist voice.
Yes.
And basically say, stop doing this because someone will lose an eye. And then sometimes they would actually tell you stories of, and it happened. It's not just, it really happened. And I remember thinking at the time, well, I guess that's why you don't have a real job. Because you're the teacher who had the class, and at the end of the year, every kid had an eye patch.
Nice.
Or in some cases, two.
Nice.
They all had an eye patch. Anyway, so that's it. And on the other hand, Sebon
Yes.
from Reddit made the very, very strong point that there isn't a lot of science behind learning styles. And isn't it interesting that we're all sort of turning our ship of education in one direction, that where there isn't necessarily a ton of objective science to, objective observation to support that it works. It's anecdotal.
Right. And I think the observation part is important, though, because I think empirically you do see it working to a degree with a lot of students. And I think you don't always need the scientific, sort of all the research, notes, and studies to see that some kids just do better doing one thing than another, right? So.
And actually, Sebon had a critique that was very similar to yours, is that you can't pick and choose activities in the so-called real world. So we shouldn't be teaching kids to not try certain things, not do this, not do that, because...
But if we can encourage them to understand whatever they think is helping them perform better, then they
that
manipulate.
as a tool.
That's right.
Yes.
They use it to
Yeah.
their advantage.
I just don't want them to use it as an excuse.
If you use it as a tool, good.
Yeah.
If you use it as an excuse, bad. And here's the other thing that really came out of that discussion. And I was like so remarkably agreeable with everyone, and I am in general. Whenever anyone disagrees with me, my first answer was usually, "You're right." But I was like, "You're right." And in terms of this thing, he was saying that, will this work in all situations? And I don't think there's ever been a clear example of what a kinesthetic class will look like in, say, grade 12 science.
Yeah.
Like, what does a kinesthetic class look like in, a senior level calculus? What does it?
Right.
And I think that's a real. We say, oh, he's a kinesthetic learner, but we don't really know what it means in terms of what we do in the class. Now, speaking of what we do in the class, I want to shout out to James Kimball.
Woo!
James, who got back to me, and he really enjoyed listening. He appreciated the shout out, so I'm going to shout out to you again, buddy, and hope things are well across the river from where you are in southern Indiana. In the
not so cool
part of southern Indiana, or the part that's becoming less cool, near Louisville, Kentucky. And I hope you're doing well down there. And you have been the inspiration for our question of the week, which hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of time on. And it is advice for teachers. Learn from our mistakes. What do you wish you had known when you were starting out, or what did you learn the hard way, or what would you like to share with beginning teachers? Advice.
I think I'll start. I think going into any new school, going into the profession, but also entering a school for the first time, it's sort of akin to a new country. And there's a language and there's a way of doing things. And I think there's a lay of the land that you have to learn, and you have to learn the lingo and try to figure out how things work. So just not being afraid to ask questions. One of the first phrases you learn when you go to a new country is, where's the washroom? And I think that's kind of, just for your survival, you need to know where things are, how things are done. The way attendance may be done at one school is very different than, the way it's done at another. IEPs, where they're stored, how they're accessed.
And I think as a new teacher, you feel that it's a sign of weakness to ask questions, and you don't want to. I mean, that ties in with the sending a kid down to the office. Same thing. You don't want to send a kid down to the office because you don't look weak, so you wind up putting up with stuff that's actually really disruptive to the learning environment and everything else like that. My advice on sending kids down to the office is there is some truth to that, and it's an unfortunate reality that you can get pegged negatively as weak. So here's what you do. You partner with an administrator. So you come to the administrator and you say, I need your help in dealing with this individual. And now you've basically said you're basically saying you're complimenting the administrator by saying I respect and value your opinion and your contribution. You're not adding to their time, like you're not throwing some kid down there and just saying office deal with it. You're sort of giving them a heads up that this might be happening. And you're basically saying what is the strategy to use, and then when you employ that strategy, there can't be any problem. Like they'll say do X, Y, and Z, and if that doesn't work, send them to me. And then you can send them to you like conscience clear and knowing that this isn't going to affect you negatively down the road. So
Absolutely.
Any advice?
I have lots of advice. I took all sorts of notes, but in terms of asking questions, don't reinvent the wheel. Take ideas, take worksheets, take anything your colleagues or the internet will give you. Don't worry about making the greatest lesson plan in the world for every lesson. Not every lesson is a grand slam home run.
No.
And that's okay. Once you're comfortable with the rhythm of the school, with the routine of actually being a teacher, which is not going to happen in your first year, once you're comfortable, then you can go back and look at assignments that you've taken from somebody else and modify them and make them your own and work with things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
There's a huge learning curve.
Take whatever you can get. Ask for help. Ask for assignments. Don't be trying to come up with it on your own. And yes, I'm sure you have lots of good ideas because you're so eager right out of teacher's college. But sideline it. You got to learn how to survive first.
And definitely ask other people what they're doing. There's so much. You're going to have so many things taking your time up that you can't afford to reinvent the wheel, either just time-wise. I'm going to throw something out there in dealing with students.
Okay.
Do your best not to make things public. Students will try and make things public. It's your job to make them private. And this is when we're talking
You're
about
the adult
disciplining
in
an
the room.
individual. And so de-escalate, say we're not going to talk about this now, we're going to talk about it later. See people in the hallway, talk, but always...
They want an audience.
They want an audience, and that audience is not on your side, generally speaking. So do not make it public, and also don't, like with humiliation as well, like I'm a big one on marks, like some people are different with that, but I'm going to talk to you about your mark individually. I'm going to share that with you. And just in general, like if you're disappointed with someone, you don't say it in front of everyone. You'll get a very different reaction if you want to address behavior when a person's one-on-one versus when they're in front of everyone, they have to puff up and be tough.
With that, in terms of classroom management, try to keep your sense of humor.
Yes.
It's important. They love it when you're human, and you are a human, so be a human, and keep your sense of humor. And I was told in first year university by my very first education prof to never, ever use sarcasm on a child. And he's wrong.
Now, did he say it this way? Never, ever use sarcasm on a child.
He did not. He was the sweetest man.
Who probably never did, but you know what?
And you know what? He also taught elementary. And I'm going to say for the secondary panel, and not all the time, but sarcasm is my best classroom management
absolutely
technique.
agree.
It is the thing that gets kids on side with you, and you have to know the kid that you're working with.
You have to know the kid.
You have to know that the kid can take it.
You have to have a
You have to be
relationship.
sensitive to
You wouldn't do it to the kid who's going to cry. But there's a certain type of student that you can look at, and you can tease them, and they'll take it, and the class respects it, and gets you on side.
I will say this. Facial expression is very important. If you're smiling when you say it, and they're smiling, like that's one thing. If you're, because
Reading
something
cues.
that you might say sarcastically, if you're not smiling, they think you're telling you, they think it's real.
Right.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
Even cases where I've had oh no, you failed that. Oh no, and I've had kids like freaking out, and
because there's subtleties that adults often understand the cues, but not always
Yes,
not
absolutely.
younger.
But-
I like your point
audiences.
here. Can you read that?
I can. It's okay to say I don't know. You don't have to have all the answers. You're just a human. If somebody asks you something and a kid asks and you don't know, just say, I don't know, or let me find out and I'll get back to you.
And all you're
or why don't you check the internet and see if you can find the answer to
Check
that
it,
for
let me know. And you're modeling, and frankly, you're modeling what we want from students. We want them to be self-reliant, and we want them to be able to proactive, figure things out on their own.
Admit you don't know everything. You don't know everything. Also, don't be worried about waiting for silence or answers.
Yes, that was one of my points, sort of, too. Just being willing to observe and listen to your students. I think when you first start teaching, at least when I did, you want to establish yourself, and you want to say a lot of things, perhaps a lot of impressive things, funny things, whatever the case might be.
Awesome things
to get them on your. To get them on your side. However, I think it's great to just listen in and observe and see what the dynamic is between you and your students and between student A and student B to figure things out.
Yeah. I've got one, and then you can give one. Well, there's two I want to give. First of all, teaching is like the movie Groundhog Day. It's like nothing. It's like yesterday never happened. Yeah, it exactly. And you will like walk in, and you're just like, okay, remember that thing we did last day? And you're gonna have 30 kids look at you and go, "What last day? Who are you? Where am I? What are these things in front of me?" They're your hands, man. They're your hands. That's what you get. And the other thing is that Newton's laws of motion apply to students with respect to inertia. It's very hard to get a student going, and then it is very hard to get a student to stop. Force is equal to mass times acceleration. You want to move a class, the bigger the class, the more energy you take to move them.
Takes huge energy.
Absolutely, I believe that's
Huge
true.
energy.
And guys, for every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. You just may not see it.
Yeah.
And so I believe that the laws of motion, the way I said it was so like, you just may not see it. I was very sincere. I had a very sincere look on my face.
You were directing it at me.
Yeah, because you are so.
I caught a bit of that too.
I was trying to swing it. I was trying to swing it to both of you guys. I was trying to swing it. Derrick, I look at the end. Lisa.
When you're planning, and you should do long-term
Yes.
planning.
Plan
your
long-term.
entire year in June.
And then
Modify as you go.
Modify as you go.
Because
know your whole roadmap.
Know what you're going to do. Know what your end game is.
Anchor major things,
Yeah.
major
Exactly.
assignments.
Yep.
Yeah.
Include easy days for yourself where the kids are watching a movie or they're doing group work where you're not on stage.
Yeah.
Include days that are for you.
Yeah. And you know those fudge days are also days that you might lose.
Yep.
You know, so you need to also have those days in there to say, you know, it's not a day you're planning to do nothing, but it's a day that if you lose that day, you're not going to lose the curriculum.
Exactly.
You know?
And you can always, when they're doing group work, you can be marking when they're...
Derrick, do you have one more thing you want to share before we...
Sure. First impressions matter, and I think that I was told once by somebody that don't be afraid to give homework even on the very first day. Now, that may or may not work, but I think the idea behind it is if you set a certain tone, that matters. And
setting
I
tone
think
and setting routines early
routines,
is important.
respect,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
I will say this, we were always told, I don't know if they're still doing it, don't smile till Christmas.
That's BS, man.
Yes, be yourself. Just be yourself.
Actually,
Gotta be
BS rule, like, be yourself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Be self.
Be self.
That's the rule.
Yeah.
Number one rule of teaching is always BS.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
Because kids will read.
They will, and they will destroy you
if you're not trying to be
And that's
yourself.
a good note to leave on. Kids will destroy you. That's good another week. Lisa, we got something to sign up
Have
on?
fun.
Hey, sign up there.
Happy holidays.
And woozle wazzle scene. You've been listening to Staff Loungin. The opinions in Staff Loungin are those of the participants and do not represent their employers or anyone else they might know. If you'd like to contact us at Staff Loungin, please feel free to do so through Twitter at Staff Loungin. That's STAFFLOUNGIN. We leave out the apostrophe. So thanks for listening and keep lounging.